Do you ever see a sneaker coming out? You see the hype, you see it on social media, you see it on the internet, you see it coming down the line, and you look at it and you're like, I shouldn't like that. There's nothing about it that really resonates with me. I shouldn't like that. But you do. It's like, why do I like that? I shouldn't. There's nothing about it that I like, but I like it. And that's what's happening with me with these Travis Scott SB Dunk Lows. I shouldn't like this sneaker. It goes against my principles of sneakers. I like certain things in sneakers. I like consistency. I like simple colorways. I like simple sneakers. I like tradition. All of those things. I'm a standard sneakers kind of guy. That's just the way I am. But for some reason, these guys jive with me, and I really don't know what it is. But I'm going to dig into it today, and we're going to have a look at this upcoming release of the Nike SB Dunk Low Travis Scott. This is the Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker Channel. Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker Channel. There's Mainichi Absolute on there, Mainichi Media Side. Every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And today we're looking at that upcoming release of the Nike SB Dunk Low Travis Scott. And it's a sneaker that I don't know why I like it. There's been a spectrum of like for Travis Scott and me. And it maybe goes against what you think. If you're thinking right now, if you're thinking about all the Travis Scott sneakers that that have dropped across the last, year, 2 years or so, because there's been quite a lot of them. There used to be rarer, more time between the drops, if you think of like Cactus Jack 4s, for example. But now all of a sudden you're getting Cactus Jack sneakers, every 2 or 3 months instead of 6 or 7 months. So if you think back, just to the last, say, 18 months, instead of going way, way, way back, but just to the last 18 months, we had the Air Jordan 1s, the Air Jordan 1 Lows, the 6s, the Air Force 1s, and now here we are with the SB Dunk Lows. And you know what we'll do is we'll put a link up here, and I tell people in every one of my videos that these links that we put up here, you don't have to click on them the instant they come up here. They stay there for the whole video, and you can click on them whenever you like or at the end of the video. So I will put a link up to one of those one of those Travis Scott sneakers that I've done with the Nike line, and you can check that out later if you want to. But if we think about that, the Jordan 1s highs, the lows, the 6s, the Air Force 1s, and now here are the SB Dunk Lows. Let me rank them. For me, the 6s were my favorites. I absolutely loved that sneaker. The green ones especially, the yellow ones, which, are a bit rare, a bit hard to get your hands on. I still like them very much. I think the silhouette itself, especially with those ankle pockets, was really, really cool. And then the color, I loved the color. I'm not a huge fan of 6s as well, so unusual for me to like them, but those Travis Scott 6s were fire. So they would be number 1 on my list. Then number 2, I think I'd probably go with the Air Jordan 1 highs, then the Air Jordan 1 lows, and then these guys today, the SB Dunk Lows, and then way, way down, like miles away from anything else, the Air Force 1s. I was like, yuck, no, I did not like the Air Force 1s at all. And you'd think that these SB Dunk Lows would be in a similar sort of vein to that, because they're very similar in the way that they're conceptualized. Like the first 3 sneakers stay very true. The Air Jordan 1s highs and lows, and the 6s stayed very true to what that silhouette is. Whereas the Air Force 1s, they went in like wacky and interesting directions, especially with that lace shroud on the top. And I didn't like it. And it's the same with these SB Dunk Lows. They've gone in a direction that's kind of unusual for SB Dunk Lows, but for some reason I like it. And I don't know why, but we'll look into that and we'll go through the different sections of the sneaker, because to me, there's 6 different sneakers going on here. So it's an amazing thing to look at. It's amazing to think that you can have 6 different sneakers all together and then somehow they work as one, which is incredible. But before we do that, we'll talk about what's happening on Sunday, because on Sunday, rare sneakers come to this channel every single week, and they're in hand. A guy called Shoe Butter drops me some content. He sends me some videos from his shoe apartment with the rarest sneakers in the world. And this week we've got the Adidas 4D Futurecraft sample sneaker dropping, which is like the prototype before it all began. So definitely stick around to catch that on Sunday. It's an incredible sneaker and a great thing to have a look at. But anyway, back to what we're doing today. We're doing this SB Dunk Lows, and it's an incredible mashup of 6 different sneakers for me. And I have to confess, full disclosure, I talk about this in the channel a lot. I'm not a sneaker head because I don't have enough money to be a sneaker head. I'd love to buy sneakers more often than I do. Last weekend I bought the Jordan 3 red cement, some people are calling them, or fire reds I think is their official name, and they were 23,000 yen here in Japan, which is something like $200 or something like that, $220, which is a lot of money for me, and I had to think long and hard about that. And it's a sneaker I just fell in love with as soon as I saw it, but I still had to think long and hard about whether I'd get my hands on them. But I did get my hands on them, and I'm like very happy about that. But anyway, I'm not a sneakerhead. I don't have enough money to be a sneakerhead. I love my sneakers, but I'm a European lover of sneakers, having grown up in the UK. And the SB Dunk Low line and the Jordan line didn't really feature very heavily in my initial love of sneakers. My initial love of sneakers was Adidas and Air Max, which is really big in Europe and the UK. So when I made this channel, one of the things I talked about on the channel was that I wanted to learn about sneakers and grow my own knowledge of sneakers. And the SB Dunk Low line is definitely one of the big growth sectors for me and my channel. I didn't even know that they were just Dunk Lows and you didn't get the SB on it, or that they were Dunk Low Pros or SB Dunk Low Pros. But then I found all that out as I reviewed different sneakers. Like there were those off-whites I can put a link to right here. Boing, a sneaker which I didn't like at all because of that extra lace around the outside, that redundant lace, which seemed to be absolutely pointless. But I think they were Nike Dunk Lows. They weren't SB Dunk Lows. And I learned through doing these videos, I learned about the different levels that there are for Dunk Low sneakers in the Nike line. And here we are today with this Travis Scott. It was like, oh, it's an SB Dunk Low. How interesting. It's not just a Dunk Low, it's an SB Dunk Low. So I'm glad to grow my knowledge of sneakers and to be able to bring that to you guys and to do that, you know, side by side with having my own channel. And in the case of these guys, like I said, it's 6 different sneakers if you ask me. In the first place, we're going to go top to bottom because literally it's like segmented one after the other throughout the sneaker. It's not like, you know, they're all over the place like this. It's like 6 different parts of the sneaker. So we'll start with the top line. And the tongue and the heel on there that you can see is in that kind of tan colorway, and it stretches through diagonally from the heel through the top line and up to the tongue there in that tan, which is the first section of the sneaker. And then right beside that, you've got, it's almost a signature in a way for Travis Scott, because I think what he does here is he shouts out to his youth and his history and his background. And I can't for the life of me remember right off the top of my head, because I did see this with the Air Force Ones, that there was a huge tie-up to his background, which I think is Chicago, but forgive me if I'm wrong there. But again, this colorway is meant to shout out back to his roots and back to his youth, and that's what this does here. So on SB Dunk Lows or Dunk Lows, what you have is you have the lace unit, especially the top eyelets, are held in place by a strap that goes down into the heel, and then that strap goes across the lace stays down into the quarter and then around the toe box of the sneaker. And I don't know how I'm going to be able to visualize that behind me here, but that's one big unit, up from the heel, onto the lace stays, down the lace stays, down the quarter and around the toe box is one big unit. And you can see it's in a sort of deep blue with white detailing on here, and that's the second part of the sneaker. Now we said we started at the top line and down into that lacing system, and then you come down into the midfoot where you have 2 separate parts of the sneaker. One is what I would call tartan, but other people call it something else. Now, me being British, I was born in London to an English mother and a Scottish father, and then when I was 6 I moved to Scotland, so I'm very British. But I would call this tartan. I think most people would call it tartan, but I think, is it plaid? Is that what other people call it? Plaid? It's tartan. Let's just go with the cultural history of Scotland and say tartan. Right there on the midfoot, and then in front of that, in bold, sort of solid colour, you've got the swoosh on the side there, which is two more elements of the sneaker to bring us up to 4. Top line, lacing system, midfoot tartan, and then that solid coloured swoosh on the front there. And then I'm saving the final 2 features, which are the 2 most distinctive features for me of the sneaker. We're going to go all the way to the front to the toe box. So I talked about how the toe box is wrapped around with the same material that runs through the lacing system from the heel all the way to the front here. But what's interesting is to me is not actually that, it's the panel within that, which is a sort of tan, a solid tan colour. And the main thing that interests me is that solid tan colour of the panel on the toe box matches the outsole. So hopefully what you're looking at behind me here is just the toe box in large enough size so that you can see the panel within the toe box itself, and also the outsole there as well, so you can see the two together, see how closely they contrast. Now if you focus in on the colour of that toe box, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click my fingers, and usually I do this badly, but we'll see how it goes. I'm going to click my fingers and we'll flip it and have a look upside down and look at the outsole, so you can see that sort of solid connection between the toe box panel and the outsole. So average. So you can see behind me here now the outsole, and it is very similar. It's almost like a kind of clay, but like a ceramic clay as opposed to a sort of red earthy clay, and it definitely matches that toe box up above, which I think is a unique feature of these guys, and I think it'll be overlooked by a lot of people, not realizing that there's a real distinct connection between the toe box and the outsole. You sometimes see it on Air Jordan 1s especially, where you might have like a cherry red, within the panel of the toe box, and then the cherry red outsole, for example. But I think it's not so normal to see it in a sneaker like this, where everything is segmented off and everything is unique and in its own distinct part, except for that match between toe box and outsole. It's the only place in the sneaker where I can see two parts working together. Everything else is all like higgledy-piggledy and stands in contrast to the rest of the sneaker, which is what the final part of the sneaker does. And that final part of the sneaker is the laces, these big, chunky, fluffy laces on the top of there, the 6th feature of these Nike SB Dunk Low Travis Scott. Again, this is the kind of thing I don't like in sneakers. I don't like fluffy laces. I think they're gimmicky and silly, but I like them on this. I don't know what it is about these sneakers with so many different moving parts and so many different pieces that are in contrast to each other, but I still dig them. I still like them, even with those fluffy laces on there. So all in all, it's a really cracking sneaker, topped off with a really sweet design on the tongue and that Cactus Jack design on there with the, I think it's cactus going vertically and then Jack going horizontally to give you that sort of cross effect, that cactus effect. So and it's cool. It's a really cool way to top off the sneaker and to finish off the sneaker, and it brings it all together finally. It's just a great sneaker. I don't know, again, I've said it, I keep saying it, I don't know why I like it so much, but I do. They're really cool, and I think they're going to fly. I think people are going to be after them. They're going to be after them really hard. I think a lot of people, I think he's going to have a lot of crossover appeal to a lot of different people. So it's a real cool sneaker, a real hot one to keep an eye out over the next coming weeks and months. Now, I always do this. I can't remember what I talk about at the start of a video, and I can't remember if I pushed my Twitter account or not. My Twitter account is in the doghouse. It's a sewer of a Twitter account. My Instagram account flies high, but my Twitter account is an absolute earthworm. But I want to grow it. I want to try and do better with it, so I'm trying to push that. So check out Tokyo Butter 23 on Twitter and give me a follow there, or there's a link down below to that account where you can give me a follow as well, and we'll try and grow the Twitter account. And also, I talked about those 4D samples. I'm sure I talked about those 4D Futurecraft samples, which will be coming on Sunday. Here's a link down to the playlist that contains all of those in-hand rare sneakers, so you can check out any of them and see some of the craziest rare sneakers in the world. But of course, all the other links that we've talked about throughout this video are there as well. So go ahead and check out one of those to see some more content from Tokyo 123. For now, though, it's time for me to sign off and say thank you for checking out this video and looking at this upcoming release of the Nike SB Dunk Low Travis Scott's, which is coming on February the 29th. But for now, it's time for me to sign off. Thank you guys for checking out my content. But as I do this every single day, that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.